Hey, how was your weekend?
That's way too energetic for this time of day. How dare you?
All right, full disclosure for the pod listeners. We just mentioned some shit before the podcast started that we can't talk about on the podcast that we should talk about on the podcast, but we're not going to talk about on the podcast because it's about someone we love and performing, and we're not going to do that because that's not what this podcast is about.
No.
We're not about tearing people down.
I'm sad.
We're about lifting people up.
Well, one of us is.
Welcome to 2 Shots and a Royalty Check, brought to you by Venmo, Your Money, Your Move, and Liquid Death, Murder Your Thirst. Let's get back into it. Michael was St. Jamesing someone earlier.
You have a very valid point. That's one of the things that we do is we do work with people on performance coaching stuff.
All right, yeah. I can mention it. I can mention it because we're not going to mention it. Shall I mention it?
No, let's be nice.
I'm not. Well, this is nice. This is good advice for young performers.
Yes.
Okay, it's a general question.
Okay.
Let's put it in general terms.
Okay.
Let's say you're in your 20s and you're a performer and you just put out records. You put out some singles in the last few years.
Yes.
And you go on tour. Do you think that fans give a fuck at all? Hey, that's pretty good. We got, 10 seconds in before an F-bomb? But do you think fans care at all if it's down-tuned already? This isn't a 45-year-old, 50-year-old doing like a legacy tour after years and years of singing high. No, this is like after it came out last year and it's down-tuned.
I think that considering we're distorting, speeding up, and slowing down music all over TikTok, that most people don't care, at least generationally speaking.
This is a very young artist, yes. Young crowd, young artist, early 20s.
Mm-hmm. So that's my opinion on that. I don't think it's going to matter as much to younger fans than it would to, say, old fucks like you and me. That's two F-bombs within 8 minutes. You're welcome.
And I'm wondering if it's just a relative pitch problem, because when I heard it, I was like, wait a minute. And I basically had to go to the original recording and be like, that sounds lower. I mean, it's not like I'm a musical genius or anything. It's not like I was like, well, that was a C sharp and this is blah, blah, blah. It's not like I was doing that. I was like, this just sounds in a lower register.
Yeah.
And then I checked it and it was. Yeah. Now, it may be that there's a musical element to this. It may be that the musicians around this artist was like, to program it or something. They needed to program it lower. I don't know.
I can't think of a reason that programming-wise it would need to happen. I mean, was this artist performing with tracks, or is there a band there?
Yeah, they're partial tracks, partial live.
Okay.
Kind of like a lot of people are doing these days. So sort of a sparse band, kind of a producer band. Yeah. So like the guy that has the keyboard in front of him is playing the bass part, but there's keys happening.
Yeah, gotcha.
So I know that there's a track going on, and there's a tempo track going on too. Yeah, and there also was some vocals, and I'm like, oh my god, like a guide vocal.
Yeah. Oh, guide vocal was in the live track.
Yeah, and it's. I'm just saying, when you're a young artist, it's a little early for that.
I mean, to be fair, like we've seen some videos of some. Well, they're considered legacy artists now, but somebody who was in their 20s on the VMAs in the early 2000s singing along with a guide track live.
Sure.
So, I mean...
But that's a big live show in front of millions and millions of people on TV. I mean, this is like you're going on tour, and it's sort of... I mean, it's happening everywhere. I think I talked about this before, Wings of Pegasus.
Yes.
Have you seen that YouTube channel?
Yeah, the guy that's doing talking about sweetening.
His whole thing
live.
is about, auto-tuning and the software behind it. He just did one on the Eagles that was proving that they were not only... So we call it piping in, right? Like you pipe in a track vocal, and usually front of house pulls that down a little bit, and someone's kind of watching.
Tucks it under.
The vocalist is having a little trouble breathing or whatever, you pull it up a little bit so they don't miss. But this was apparently Don Henley doing Desperado and miming it.
Oh.
And he could tell that both of the vocals were panned. There were two vocals going on. and they used the same recorded vocal and panned them, and you could tell because it was exactly the same waveform. And there's just, I don't care how good a vocalist you are, he's completely right about this. You cannot match a waveform. You can trick an ear that you sing it dead on the same way both times, Michael Jackson, but you cannot trick a waveform.
Yes. That's interesting.
But so, but it's Don Henley. He's what, 79, 48? What I don't know what he is.
7,948.
But he was making the point, like, if you're going to see the Eagles, like, and you're paying $500 a ticket, you do expect to hear some singing live.
Yeah. Mostly Timothy B.
This
Schmidt.
was straight up recording.
Yeah, that's interesting. Well, but again, the singer in question is over the age of 50. So there's a little bit of wear and tear on them.
Nearly dead. Yeah, me too.
Yeah, literally in the music industry has been dead for 30 years.
That's right. Yeah,
that's
worthless.
Yeah, totally terrible.
This is the last worthless concert that you'll ever sing.
Wow, that's a nice.
Not a bad Don Henley, right?
Not a terrible Don Henley. I wish I'd heard the track going with it. That would have.
No, that was the recording. I just pressed the button. Thank you, Kelsey.
I would really. Okay, can we drop that in later? Ask Kelsey. That'd be great. Like if you could pipe that in and sing directly along with it, and I'll guess which waveform is which.
Which one's live?
Yeah, there's a. I think that there's a piece of this where is this artist, this younger artist we were talking about before, like by getting, how many tours has this artist done is the question.
This is the very first.
So they're trying some shit out.
Yeah. And, also, there were openings.
Yeah. So
not a headliner. So probably not a whole lot of like huge money and rehearsal and stuff behind it.
Yeah.
And I imagine you want to come off as best as you can.
Yeah.
Also, this is pop music, very popular contemporary kind of dance music. Not EDM, but like pop songs. And so maybe it's a little bit more accepted that way instead of like a rock band or a country band or whatever. It is a solo act with, kind of, different musicians behind them. So, I mean, I guess I get it in that way, but I don't know. I think that I want
more
bands. I want the real shit. I want the real live thing. I don't want it to sound like the recording.
Yeah, but
I want you to try.
Yeah, there's that thing. It's like if I wanted to listen to the record live, I would go to my office and put the record on. I like a little bit of play live and extending intros and outros, and maybe the guitar player gets to wank off for a little while longer in the middle if there's a guitar player. So I mean, maybe like some of the choices made with the down tuning and were to differentiate the live show from the record.
Is anyone surprised that Stu's okay with this? Like, well, they're trying.
I didn't say I was okay with it. I'm trying to offer reasons as to why.
I know a reason why.
So what is this?
Lazy.
So St. Jamesing is slapping the shit out of something and telling you why everything's wrong. What do we call Stu Millering? What is a
like it's a gentle rubbing of the top of the back. You're doing a good job, honey.
Yeah, okay. But
just gentle, not sexual at all.
Yeah, it's definitely platonic type of rubbing.
Yes. Or how like some people when they get anxiety, like you need to put your hand on their chest and like, it's okay, honey. Yeah, that's kind of a stewing.
Yeah, a stewing.
Yeah. And I would say maybe you come up with some weird like holistic shit. Like you reach in and touch their two earlobes and like, okay, just close your eyes and count backwards from 4.
Just connecting your diodes.
Very nice. Yeah. Very nice. Yeah. That's also a stewing. All of these things absolutely need consent.
Yeah.
I guess mine do too. Mine's
yours is a little bit more aggressive.
There's some people in a younger generation who'd be like, he was violent towards me. Be like, I just said you shouldn't use backing vocals. That's all I fucking said.
Yeah,
but you just used a lot of cuss words and you were really like aggressive.
Well, you were in my personal environment bubble the entire time.
Yes, and you made remarks about me, and I didn't say you could. I heard that this weekend.
You did? What is the context under that? You made remarks about me.
Actually, it was like someone asking for advice, which I thought was hilarious. And then
That didn't like the humane.
I was like, well, what did you want me to do? Give you advice based on somebody else and give you general advice and not mention exactly the advice for you? Well, you made remarks about it. Yeah, you asked for my opinion.
Yeah.
Which is not a good thing, you know. I mean, it is a good thing. I'm going to tell you.
I think it's a great thing.
Yeah.
I think a great thing, especially if if you're wanting it. Was it music career input or was it personal? Like, do you like my outfit?
Yeah. Artistic.
Artistic.
No, it was artistic.
Okay.
Music adjacent.
Okay. May I ask what? May I ask what the request was? There was some performance evaluation. Okay. So it wasn't just about how well do you play, how well do you sing, but it was like the packaging. Okay. And so it kind of had to do with this, is like what's going on with the live show, and here's some things, here's some clips, here's some what we're doing, and what would you say? And you know me. Yes, I do.
So we have kind of a shorthand where it's like, do you like, what do you exactly want to know? You know, I usually try to clarify before I tell someone anything in this industry.
Yeah.
And that's what it was. And it was like, oh no, it was just, I think the words were just shoot straight with me.
Oh, that just opened a St. James can right there. Like a slit.
Shoot straight with me. And the next thing they heard was, shh.
Was that the can being opened or the shotgun being loaded?
That was the shotgun with a can of whoop-ass behind it, yeah. And I started off positive, as I do.
You gave them the sandwich?
I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, but like, look, if you thought it was all great, you wouldn't be coming to me, right?
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's the truth. Mm-hmm. If you knew it was great and you were confident that it was great, whatever it is, our concert, the look, the vibe, the set list, the playing, the song choices, you don't need me. But like, what you do need is somebody that's going to be a little bit more brutally honest than anyone else and not just sugarcoat it. And so, but I made remarks about them.
I think some people are actually looking for validation more than they're looking to better it, which is, I want somebody outside of me and somebody who's notoriously as St. Jamesy as you to tell me that what I'm doing is great.
Holy shit, I think you're right. because like I have no desire for that.
Yeah.
Like I don't ever look for, that's probably a generational thing. Like, first of all, I don't look for validation like that because I don't trust it.
Yeah, it's if you believe that, you got to believe.
Like, oh my God, you're great. That was perfect. That was amazing. That was great. That was perfect. And it was like, yeah, that's bullshit. I know it.
For those of you who cannot see Michael on video right now, his eyes are dead like a doll's eyes while he says that.
Per usual.
So, well, I mean, I appreciate the remarks you made about it. Thanks for making remarks.
Thank you.
Thanks for making remarks.
Yeah, next week, remarks with Michael St. James.
Oh, is it like daily affirmations with Stuart Smalley?
Yeah, if you would like me to make remarks about you, email us, 2ShotsMusicPod@gmail.com.
Oh, can we make this a segment?
That'd be great. All right,
fuck this. This is why everything's wrong. Get out of the business now. Fucking remarks.
It was really, like, seriously, at the end of it, though, I think they were appreciative.
That's good.
I think of the...
I mean, they were unconscious, but they were definitely appreciative.
That's the thing. I don't give general remarks either in anything. Yeah. If I'm doing a song, if I'm doing whatever, it's usually like, here's this thing, here's what I think you could do, or a few options of what I think you could do, and to change it. So
yeah.
Take that for what you will.
I appreciate. Well, I'm glad you made remarks. I spent some time this weekend listening to the new Beyonce record.
Oh my God, I did too.
And
I'm floored by it. I really, well, yeah, I'll give you my little review.
Yes, please.
Of it. It's not a country record. She says it's not either a country album. It's not. I say that it's a Southern album.
Yeah.
And there's a difference between country and Southern, and kind of you can even think like Lynyrd Skynyrd is not a country album, but boy does it feel Southern. You know, that kind of thing. It's got Southern themes. But I mean, there's everything from hip hop to country to R&B to Italian opera to like she rewrote the Amen. You know, and the resolving Amen, and she has a resolving Amen theme going through it. I found it. You know, I think there are a lot of people. I'm a huge Beyonce fan, but I will say that Renaissance, Lemonade, like some of the last ones, is just huge production. Just so many flavors in the stew, you know, and it's just like a lot of people. I know I should stew it. But I think a lot of people, I know Bomani Jones talked about this, and I thought, man, he just nailed exactly what I thought. I just kind of want to hear you and a piano. Yeah. I kind of want to hear you and a guitar. Can I just, and maybe you stack your vocals, but just like, let's pull it back like one producer, two producers maybe. Let's just pull it back a little bit. And I got that on this record. I got that on the whole album. Like there's a few things that are produced. The Post Malone one, very produced. I thought American Requiem I just think that song just fucking killed me. I just absolutely love that. Also, 16 Carriages, and if you would like to talk about Blackbird.
I think there's so many things about it that I really loved. Mostly that I feel like it was a real experiment. Do you know what I mean? Like it is definitely a listen that requires some effort from the listener too, which is, you know, with most music being as passive as it is these days, is it 27 tracks?
27 tracks.
27 tracks. It's over an hour.
There's some interludes.
I mean, there's a couple of Willie Nelson interludes.
But nothing under 32 seconds. Most of them are 1 minute and then 32 seconds.
Well, there's a couple that are under 30 seconds, and that presents another question with regards to streaming royalties for something that's under.
Well, not technically, they're not.
Oh,
if you look at the listing on Spotify,
I've been listening to it on Apple Music. So like I saw a couple of them were under 30 seconds, and I thought that was interesting on there. Interesting.
Yeah. There are. Well, yeah. Okay. So one says 22 seconds, but the other ones are 52, 29. Yeah, I guess that is under 30. But it doesn't list, like on the YouTube one, it doesn't list it that way because it has some extra silence on it. But
so that's some game playing right there. That's interesting.
Yeah, there's so much about this, and let's talk about the music some more. Like, what did you feel about the music other than it was challenging?
This was my overall response, because first of all, I really liked it. I do like her take on Blackbird and Jolene as well. I really love. I like that I'm getting challenged with things that are so ingrained in me as a performer, singer, and artist. Like especially those two pillars on their own are worth exploring in depth. To bringing that to kind of a new generation and rewriting some of Jolene and even Dolly's response to it, like "fuck yeah, baby, let's go," is really cool.
Yeah.
But the thing I listened to it. The first track I listened to was the one she did with Miley Cyrus, and then of course I go back and you have to start at the beginning and go through in order and listen to it like an album. It is, to me, sounds like a record made by people of our age for people half our age. I don't know if that makes any sense whatsoever, but that's how it sounds. And I really, really, really loved that. Because how old is Beyonce now?
Well, she's definitely in her 40s.
Yeah. The fact that she's still making a record this relevant in the 22nd century with Buck Rogers... Now that's a 70s reference.
Bitty, bitty, bitty.
You just twigging me. Bitty, 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 bitty.
42. Beyonce is 42.
42-year-old, that's got...
Doesn't look a day over 35.
Broke the record for the most first-day streams on Spotify and Amazon. That's fucking huge.
Okay, that's huge. You want to get into this? I want to get into the math a little bit. Because this is interesting to me. So I listened to it on YouTube as it was coming out. And they were putting out, it was interesting. I don't know how the fuck they did it on YouTube.
Were they releasing things as you...
Yeah.
Interesting.
They were releasing it as you watched it.
That's cool.
And so like the lyric video, whatever, visualizer. So like it, you know, when that track was done, if you were listening to it in real time, then the next one would pop up. But it was really difficult if you got out of sync somewhere. So, you know, like on YouTube at the end of an album, at the end of a video, it goes, you know, here's the next video. Well, normally when you do a drop of like an album on YouTube, like you link all of that in a playlist so that you can listen to it straight through. But no, this was like throwing me to, you know, listen to Rihanna. And I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I wanted to go back, and then I'd go to new videos, and they would show, oh, the new one just dropped. And they were trying to kind of do it for social media that way. It was really interesting to get through it that way. But here's the thing. Yes, everyone heard that story about Beyonce, you know, most first day streams of Spotify and Amazon. First time a country album has done that this year.
Country.
Yeah. It is listed that way,
Interesting.
though. Yeah. And that may be just like to, I don't know, because there is going to be a Taylor Swift album this year.
Yeah, there is. Isn't there a new single?
And I think she wants a little bit of the album of the year. And by the way, she made mention of this. This album is directly related to her doing the CMAs with the Dixie Chicks, the Chicks, whatever.
Yeah.
And the way that people treated her there.
Yeah.
That she went back and looked at like, okay, well, what's the origins of country? And you find a lot of black experience in country.
Yeah.
And anyone that's spent time in the South, you know, I think it's really funny where people, you know, they get kind of flabbergasted when they see a black cowboy, and you're like, there were just tons of black cowboys, and there are now, and why wouldn't there be? And you know, rodeos, and you know, it's a very macho thing too, and. Buckle bunnies is a thing you're going to hear a lot about.
Oh, I know about the buckle bunnies.
You know a lot about buckle bunnies.
Yes, I do, unfortunately. Anyway, carry on.
We know about Cheyenne days here.
Yeah.
But anyway, but here's the funny thing. So all of those articles said the biggest streaming day. All right. But they didn't really mention the number.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. So I would like you to guess how many streams it got in that first day. And let me set this up a little bit. We can even just do it on Spotify. Beyonce has 76 million monthly listeners.
Okay.
All right, these are Bayhive shit, right? Like these are people that love her no matter what, probably. These are, you know, she's got a rabid fan base that we all know about. It's legendary. So 76 million monthly listeners on Spotify.
Okay.
The album comes out and it's 27 tracks. Let's say 25 of them are payable, but let's say it's 27 tracks. Actually, I think it may even be 29 and they call those two not.
Yeah.
But anyway, so how many streams do you think was the record? So being that 76 million people follow her on Spotify, and this is global, right? This is a global day on Spotify. Yeah. And so 27 tracks, and let's just say, you can just kind of do the math. If you do 27 tracks, how many millions of people do you think listen to every song? Like, oh my God, it's a new Beyonce album. Let's just listen to it tonight. Yeah. And like, how many streams would that equal?
For the entire album?
What would your guess
For the
be?
entire album?
The entire album.
2 to 4 million.
So 2 to 4 million people.
Yeah.
Is that what
That's
you're
my
saying?
estimate.
So let's say it's 3 million people listen to all 27 tracks. That would be 81 million streams. Yes. The answer is 76 million streams.
Sus.
Now, that's a great guess by you.
Yeah.
I was floored because I thought it would be so much fucking higher. So, like, think about that if you're an independent artist and you have 7,000 monthly listeners and you drop an album and you think, well, maybe half are going to listen tonight. Beyonce had less than 3% of her monthly listeners listen to this.
I had estimated about 5% of the total monthly listeners for that guess.
Yeah. And that's just ridiculously small.
Yeah.
No?
Yeah. But that's, I mean, that leans into like the same thing with the social media question. When you're posting things for your fan, you know, if you're going to get like what, between 5 and 12% unless you pay extra for it organically.
Yeah, but it's different on Spotify with monthly listeners. It will serve it to them. It's different with a global superstar that everyone knew the album was coming out because of Texas Hold'em was a huge single. By the way, Texas Hold'em over 200 million streams before the album dropped. But
also it was Easter and everybody was afraid of Jesus, so they didn't necessarily zombie werewolf Jesus.
I'm just saying, you're not surprised by that? That Beyonce, a global superstar, only really had 2 or 3 million people listen to her album
on
drop?
Spotify, no. I'm not surprised by that, but I think across platforms it's gonna, you know, it did some damage.
Even then, I mean, there's 250 million Americans, like, just in
Am I St. Jamesing this?
So fucking no, it just seems so much lower to me than it should have been.
Okay, so
just so much lower than it should have been. I would think that each one of these would get at least 1 or 2 listens, and they clearly didn't.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about it, you should be getting 2 to 3 listens, but that's over the course of like a week or whatever. I get this as one day, but it seems so low to me for Beyonce.
What was the previous record though? Like, I'm curious.
It was Taylor Swift, I think, on Lover.
Gotcha.
Or on Midnights. It was probably on Midnights. And so they made a very, and no one knows what the number is exactly because, you know, but the thing is that on Midnights, they were very careful to point this out about Beyonce's thing, is that it was the most first day streams on Spotify this year. The record this year.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, I mean, we're only 3 months into the year. There haven't been a whole lot of mammoth records released already. You know, it's pretty early on. We're gonna get some more. We'll see what happens in April because there's a new Taylor Swift album coming, but there's a few other albums that are coming that should be pretty big. I don't know if they'll reach this level, but I don't know. I just thought if you have 76 million monthly listeners, I just would think you would get more than that. It just seems like more. And I mean, when you look on YouTube, some of the songs are still under 100, still under 1 million views. Some of them are 240,000 views. You know, like, and that's 3 days ago.
I wonder if the length, that's what she said, of this whole thing is intimidating to people that are listening. Because this, as I said, this album does require some effort from the listener to get through it.
It does.
And maybe the reason for this is, you know, the casual, even though there's 76 million followers, most people are casual listeners and maybe hitting the like, oh, that's Post Malone, I like that. Oh, that's Miley Cyrus, I like that. Ooh, Dolly Parton showed up here. Oh, you know, let's see what's going on here. Like, people are piecemealing it out because that's what we're used to. We're used to a singles driven market where, like, you push the, like, you know, this one piece, and, you know, even though the whole thing might be worth a listen, you know, the casual listener doesn't want to put that kind of effort into a listening experience.
Right. No, I can see that. But what's interesting is, like, 16 Carriages is the second highest song on the album past Texas Hold'em. And it is a single. Yeah. It's going to be, I think it's being pushed out to Billboard's Hot Country chart. And that one hit 33 million so far. Yeah. But I mean, you can roll down the rest of it, and none of them are over 7 million.
Interesting.
You know, it's like 4 to 7 million on most of them. I don't know. I just would think Beyonce would get a little bit more than that. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. And I mean, this will end up being a monster album. I think it will end up being, monster. And maybe you're right. Maybe it's just that people don't do appointment listening. And I don't know. I was kind of part of the Taylor Swift drop last year where we were all listening to it at the same time at midnight at the thing and tweeting about it. I didn't see the same kind of rabidness to this. I guess it was maybe a little bit more of a surprise when it dropped, even though Taylor Swift was like, she made a very big point of when it was going to drop and what time it was going to drop. So I don't know. Maybe that's the case, and we'll see it pick up. But I was surprised. Yeah. I'm surprised that 76 million is the number. Yeah. And okay, so for all of our little independent people out there that are wondering. You're going to be like, well, how much is... So she's like a trillionaire off of 76 million streams on Spotify, right?
1 cent per stream.
Even at 0.004, that is $304,000. Now, pretty good money for a first day. Beyonce owns... There's some sort of a weird thing with Parkwood and Columbia, her label, where she basically owns most of the masters, but not all of them when she releases them.
Yeah.
But I know she at least gets half. Like she's got a 50% deal if she's on whatever deal she is with a label, it's a 50% deal. So maybe she made $150,000 to $300,000 on that on Spotify. By the way, you could probably match that number all over if Amazon went off and Tidal, obviously. She probably got a much bigger audience on Tidal than her husband. And she partially owned.
What was the numbers on Amazon? Is that listed?
I couldn't find it at all.
That doesn't surprise me.
Like I think the 76 is like a TMZ number. So I mean, I'm hoping that that's right, but like nobody was reporting the number. And you can count them up on Spotify, but like you don't really know what that first day was. Yeah,
interesting. It's all fascinating stuff. So well, there you go, Beyonce. Not doing as much business as we thought she was.
According to Michael. Pretty weak release, Beyonce. But also, I think maybe, and I mean, to sort of button this up a little bit, I'm wondering, what I was wondering is that, like, is this a thing where her fans aren't taking to it? I'm not. I mean, I'm a Beyonce fan, but I wouldn't say that I follow every single little TikTok of her life. But I was interested, and I mean, you got to discount me because industry things, and I want to hear it. I want to know. So it's not just me listening to it on a Friday night for fun. It's a little bit of both. But I guess I thought it would just be a lot bigger. Even though it is the biggest of the year, I know I'm such an asshole.
It is April 1st. So are we? Well, I just gave away the fucking store right there, didn't I? It is the beginning of April.
Well, do you care? Do you care about April Fools anymore?
I don't give a shit about that. I've got a.
I saw a tweet today where it's like when everyone's fucking lying about everything, April Fool's Day is meaningless.
Yeah,
that was Alton Brown. By the way.
Oh fuck, we're getting chefs involved. Yes, chef.
Yeah, that's how far it's gone.
Yes, chef. I agree. I don't care about that. I've got a good friend. It's her 50th birthday today, so I'm giving her sending her some love. Our friend Allie from the Blackouts, badass bass player, singer, and Tracksuit Wedding. Yeah, it's her birthday today. Yeah, so April 1st is her birthday. So I don't tend to send her much in the way of jokes and lies on her birthday because that would be me.
I guess I did when I was a kid. I was into it a little bit, but like I don't know. For the longest time, I'm just like, it's all the same stupid. I don't know. The people that do it. It seems like boomers are doing it. I saw a few on Facebook this morning.
Okay, boomer.
Which is where you go for your boomer memes.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Grandmas and racists.
To which many people listening to this would be like, well, then why were you on it? Okay. All right. That's fair. That's fair.
Why were you up there? Well, that lets you know
because I have private Facebook groups, you bitches.
I'm managing somebody's release campaign, and it requires Facebook. They're over the age of 40.
Oh my god! I know this is what a lot of people, the young people on Instagram don't understand is that if you're running business and shit on Instagram, you're on Facebook. Yeah, that's you're going to your business suite and you're meta. Fuck you, Meta.
Yeah, I've got a variety of people that are like, especially with regards to the automated. This goes against our policies. Garbage all over those fucking platforms.
Yeah.
I posted a photo of sheep
Yeah.
and I got told to take it down because of misinformation. Those were actually photos of sheep. Just whatever, man. It's all silly. Well, whatever.
You posted a photo of sheep with Velcro gloves, though.
No,
man.
that's it. Goes against our.
Oh.
Yeah, that's it. I've had a few things from every now and then I get a notification because I'm barely on Facebook. I get a notification that something I posted 15 years ago or some shit or 10 years ago, 12 years ago, 13 years ago has been taken down for violating community policies. And it was something about like Taco Bell giving you the worst diarrhea ever. And it was some type of, garbage post like that. But apparently it violated community standards. I'm like, okay.
That's awesome. You know what I do every single year? And it happens multiple times in the year. It just happened again. I get a takedown notice from Sony Music for posting September from Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Congratulations.
Yeah, and that
September?
your followers won't be able to see this. You blow, and I look at it every time and laugh.
Yeah.
Because then they let it go and it goes back up, and no one's looking at this. Is an old post.
Yeah.
I do it. I've done it for years. I will take the same clip from September from Earth, Wind, and Fire, and I'll post it. And I'm illegally posting the music. I'm not using the audio. I know. I'm illegally posting it and daring them to take it down. And then they do this whole thing of like, instead of pulling it, they give me a notification that says your followers won't be able to hear the audio in this, so you should take it down. And I'm like, fuck you. I'm not taking it down. And then I'll go back and I only remember it when I get the notification. And then I click on it and it goes to the post and the post is up. And then like a month or two later, this just happened. Literally last month. And so I just get a photo of Earth, Wind, and Fire with a takedown notice in my notifications. And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's right. That's my fun little game with Sony.
Oh, yeah, it's springtime.
And then I go back. Yeah.
I got one.
I'm like, so Sony must have hired somebody in the takedown department. And they're like, yeah, who's using September? Yeah. And
went full Gaffigan on that. Who's using September?
Who's using September? Is he going to talk about Earth, Wind, and Fire the whole time?
Why is he talking about snacks? What's
a takedown?
I had one recently that I was tagged in a video of I was in a large funk band called the Messers that was really fun band. And it was a video of us playing a show, people bouncing up and down as, had that good pocket, that good groove. And it was a song. It was an original song we'd written. We never released anything. There was never any music put out by that band, unfortunately.
I know.
Oh, don't get me started. I'm pretty sure between Jeffers and I, or John Jeffers, producer, and I,
Calhoun,
that we do have most of the instrumentals done. It's just a question of getting the lead vocals finished up. And it was fucking 8 years ago. They're all married and have had babies by now. I don't know if they're in the mood to finish them. But they posted this. We got tagged in this video of a song that we wrote. It's got this big fucking horn section. It is ramping up. Our MC Mo was throwing some sweet beats down. And it said, this video has no sound due to copyright infringement issue. And it was just like, no, we wrote that song. And
maybe it's better you didn't release it.
Maybe better we didn't release it.
Perhaps you ripped up someone off.
No, I disagree. No? It was a fucking banging section though.
I love that
Me
band.
too. That was really fun. Really fun.
A lot of eyeliner.
Thank you. It was mostly on me too.
Yeah, that was mostly on you.
I think the band photo, I have black hair and even blacker eyes. It's you
did.
That's fantastic. Excellent.
Yeah, it was raccoon
You're welcome.
shit going
You're
on.
welcome. But I also wore a 3-piece suit, so I was on the cover of Dressed to Kill and imitating Gene Simmons after he'd half washed his makeup off.
It was a great band, though.
I enjoyed that one. But yeah, all of this, people tend to take those notices personally. And it's it's not personal. There's a computer went, that sounds like something I have over here. And you just go, no. And it goes, all right.
Every time I've done campaigns in the last few years, I get it on YouTube. I get it on Facebook. And a lot of times it's because sometimes the producers that those people worked with used a splice drop.
Yeah.
And as it turned out, they also licensed that to 4 other artists. And those other artists, in some cases, are in Korea. And those other artists have like 4 million hits on it. And it's like, hey, this is my song. No, it isn't.
Yeah.
It's a licensed backtrack, basically.
Yeah. And we can, it's
I've won every single one of them.
Of course you have. And,
Never lost.
I'm 100%. Batting 100% on that.
Yeah.
So speaking of artists we love, can we talk about Lizzo's Insta post from last week?
Yeah, let's do.
I caught a glimpse of it, and of course, whenever I see something like that, I think of somebody boohooing me on the social medias. And it was a post of hers where she'd had enough. I mean, she's had some legal troubles over the last year or so. And the post was basically, I've had enough of being treated like a shitty person. I'm actually a really good person, and I'm a great artist, and I fucking had enough of you assholes, and I'm out of here, essentially, right?
Yeah. I mean, should we read
go
it?
ahead.
I'm getting tired of putting up with being dragged by everyone in my life and on the internet. All I want is to make music and make people happy and help the world be a little better than how I found it. But I'm starting to feel like the world doesn't want me in it. I'm constantly up against lies being told about me for clout and views, being the butt of the joke every single time because of how I look, my character being picked apart by people who don't know me and disrespecting my name. I didn't sign up for this shit. I quit. Deuces. So a lot was written about that where it was like, Lizzo's quitting music.
How's that again?
Lizzo's quitting music.
Is he going to do that voice the whole time, or?
95.7 KH. Yep.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it was a whole lot of Lizzo's quitting music, and I'm like, that's not what I heard there.
Yeah.
That's not what I heard. I heard the whole, all I want to do is make music. Right? All I want is to make music and make people happy. I took it as she was quitting social media.
Yeah.
And I think she was part of the fundraiser for Biden at Radio City Music Hall. And that was a few days ago. And, so she was still out doing stuff. Here's what's funny. That was her last post until the second we went live today.
Okay. And
then she just posted, Shaping Swim is finally here, now available at Yitty.com.
Excellent. All right.
I don't know what
Yitty
that
is her clothing line, and there's some cool shit for the ladies in there.
So this is for her swimwear. Okay. So she's not quitting social media.
Yeah. Well, maybe
like
she personally is.
This just went up literally 2 minutes
well, maybe
ago.
she personally is not
ago.
going to be posting any more stuff. Maybe she's like, I'm out. I don't need to be looking at this. My team will handle it because, well, she does have a team, Yeah. And if they,
Yeah. And so where do we stand on this? I will say this. In all of these cases, I am keenly aware that I am a man.
Yeah.
Because I've worked with a lot of female artists, and it is brutal. Just across the board. If you're a young female artist, if you're an old female artist, if you're a hot female artist, if you're an overweight female artist, it doesn't matter. The comments are full of trash. They're full of trolls. They're full of douchebag incels that couldn't get laid even if they took their hand out on a date.
Yeah.
And they just are horrible people that are trying to make some noise, and they get fed by someone getting angry or noticing them. It doesn't even matter what they say. They just like to be noticed because they're in a basement eating Doritos and smelling like farts, and they're alone. And look, this isn't about them. I will say really quickly, I do understand kind of the plight of young men who are not allowed to meet women like we were. I know it's different. The age of consent and not being able to just go up to a woman and go, hey, I think you're cute. Can I buy you a drink? and someone going, oh my God, I was just accosted. I know that there's both sides of this right now, where like a guy can't really start the conversation with someone to get to a consent. And also women feeling like, hey, there are a lot of women, they're like, hey, I do want to be picked up on. I do want you to notice me when my hair is gorgeous and I spent an hour and a half getting ready to go out. I do want that. But there's a whole segment that's underlying this in dating that is, no, I don't want men to come up to me, because most of them are assholes, and most of them, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
I'm afraid. I'm afraid of being punched in the face on the street in New York. I'm afraid of being doxxed. I'm afraid of you finding out my social handle and then just stalking me. And then you take it from there, and then you put it into an entertainment industry and music where you are judged on your looks and what you say and the kind of music you do. And the stronger opinion that you have, the stronger the feedback's going to be.
Yeah.
And it's not fair at all. And it's something that last year there was a woman that I was going to be working with, and I told her, you're going to have to be doing these 20 to 30 pieces of content a week, and it can't just be faceless. It has to be you. And I hate it, but I'm asking you, I'm begging you, do not look in the comments.
Yes.
And at the same time, we normally consult people. You must engage with your audience to find your fan base. It is untenable. It's not right. It's almost impossible for a young female artist to navigate through this without being sincerely damaged and hurt from it. And I will be completely forthright and say, I don't see it from the male clients I have. I don't see it from the rock band I'm working with in the South who wears tight jeans. Now he's sexualizing himself. Long hair, shirt open down to his belly button, tight jeans. He's not being accosted the same way that some of the female artists that we work with have been. And it is just not fair. And I completely understand someone wanting to quit.
Yeah. Agreed. Well,
I don't know how to fix it. A team helps.
I mean, what do you think? Like
also blinders help, like, because you've got to be out there and to also understand that these people actually don't really, like, most of them, they're not your fans. They're not really feeling that way. They don't really have formed opinions. These aren't critics, right? They're just douchebags, and they are men, by the way. I'm not saying they all are. You can maybe find me 1 or 2% that are women, but for the most part, they are men. They are younger men and boys. I should say boys. Fuck them. They're not men. Because if you're going online and you're trying to piss off a chick just to get your clout so that people will fight with you and you get a little bit of heat, you're a fucking child. You're a boy, and you don't deserve to be on this internet of ours. And it's sad because this is what's ruined the internet, right? Young males have ruined the internet, whether it's racism, sexism, sexual assault, like trying to fool people about shit, just sitting there trying to use Midjourney to create different pictures of people. And I mean, and doxing people and finding out, like, it's the reason why the internet sucks. If you think the internet sucks, that's where it comes from. Yeah. And it blows.
It does. That was a spectacular St. James rant, by the way. I appreciated that one.
Positive, but I mean, that's positive. Yeah. I will St. James the shit out of these young boy trolls. You can go suck my dick. I can't stand these guys. And I see them all the time. I see, I've run social media accounts. I see them. And then you dive into who they are, and you're like a piece of shit. Piece of shit working at Domino's. Nothing wrong with Domino's. But, like, piece of shit that is not in the arena. They're not in the theater. They're not in the game. They have nothing going on. And they wonder why no one cares about them. And this is the only way, you know what this is? This is elementary school bullshit where, when you're like a kid and you have no idea what you're doing, but you think Jenny is cute. And so you go over and you punch Jenny in the arm. So that Jenny notices you. Boy. And you're like, hi, stupid braces Jenny, ha ha ha. And then she's like, stop it. And you're like, oh, wow, she noticed me. That's what this is. And it just, but then when you take it to a level where people are spreading lies and just filing lawsuits and raising armies against you online, that becomes so much difficult. So how do we beat it, right? One of the ways is you have a social media team that takes that heat.
Yeah.
By the way, you're doing the Lord's work out there, social media
thank you.
teams, because
Thank
a
you
lot
very
of them
much.
are young women.
Oh, yeah.
Amen, Kelsey.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of those are young women that have to see it on the behalf of another woman, and that fucking blows. But you do that, and you filter who you get back to. You filter who you engage with on your Instagram or your TikTok or your Reels.
Yeah, some of them are like basically just respond to the top 5 comments or engage with that, and then after that, it's like
and then
get the
get
fuck
out.
out. Yeah. What about stopping, like turning off comments?
We have a little bit of it. You know, we have a little bit of it. People who like to troll us.
Yeah.
And I do this. I do what, my training tells me is I agree with them. I suck. I'm horrible. They shouldn't have given us a podcast. This is all bullshit.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, like who cares about what we're saying? Yeah, you cared enough to comment.
Yeah. You took time away from your right hand to comment on the fact that I moaned a lot during the Dick Pernecki episode.
That's right. Yeah. Or like literally, who cares about this? Well, shit, you watched the whole video and you took time to comment. Literally, you do.
Have you seen? I just want to give a little.
Don't quit, Lizzo.
Please don't quit. Have you seen the video of her playing Aqueous Transmission with Incubus at the Hollywood Bowl?
No.
Playing flute on it. It's fucking fantastic. Like how like to talk about like smashing two things I love together. It's like that Incubus record. That's the end of Morning View. I think it's one of the last songs on either that record or and then to have Brandon Boyd bring Lizzo out to play the flute part on that is just like, oh, it was so cool. It's so good too.
You know what? No one makes fun of her flute playing.
She's so fucking good.
She's so talented.
I agree. Please don't stop. And
we'll see what happens with the lawsuit.
Yeah. Is there any information on that, or is it still?
It's going forward. Like it wasn't thrown out.
Well, shit.
But that's district court shit, and you don't really know.
Yeah.
Like it's like why on the merits of it. It's a civil thing. So
all right.
It's, they're going to get their day, but it's going to be a while. Like I said, it's going to be a while, and it's probably going to be settled.
It's been a while.
I don't know. I find it heartbreaking that this happens, and I am not both sidesing this. That this happens to women, and my God, does it happen to women of color or women of like sort of a minority basis, like whether that's a trans woman, whether it's a woman of color, or whether it's, like it happens, but it happens to white women too. It just happens to women, and it fucking sucks.
Agreed.
And I don't know the best way to fix it. I mean, like it's one thing if you're rich and you're a big artist and you can hire a social media team, but if you're like, I see it, a mutual friend of ours is really into the yarning of it all. Right? Stitchery, that sort of thing. What do you call that? Like yarning and
knitting.
I'm making the fun words knitting and crochet and
woolworking,
those kind of things. Yeah, and you can even see it in that little community where like a guy will slip in and be like, your work sucks, and these are just people just trying to do a side hustle. Like selling shit on Etsy. That kind of shit. I have a friend who's kind of a famous author who she wrote a book that was kind of a very big thing within politics. And she was offered a cooking show to show people how to cook for a family on very little money. It was kind of like, it was about like living hand to mouth or that kind of thing, right? So she does this thing, and all of the comments came back about like, your hands are so ugly.
That's gross.
Yeah. And I mean, there's a differentiation there between what entertainment criticism is from a producer standpoint. Like, we need to make these things look good, put makeup on them, whatever, shoot it from the right angle, have lighting. But like, to just like, that's something you can't change. Your hands are ugly. You know, and I mean, that's just something like, when have you ever seen a guy be told that? But I mean, that is something that, like, that will keep you up at night. To be like, oh my God, my hands are ugly. Just those little things that people say. So first of all, if you're a young man listening to this, you're not a piece of shit. Not every man is a piece of shit. Let's make that clear. But if you're a man and you're listening to this, you do not need to go in and defend them on these posts. Let that person die on the vine, first of all. Second of all, just continue to be a good person and a good man and be healthy about your responses. You know, so be a part of the solution, not part of the problem. And if your friend is that douchebag, call him out. This is like, that guy has a friend. Those people have friends who go in and rip on him. And by the way, I'm not saying this is only a man problem. Look, Lizzo has gotten a ton of shit from women too. And, you know, and so it's just, but God, be better. Just be better. That's our whole thing. Be better. There's got to be a better way for you to get attention than to troll people online. Come on, you guys.
Agreed. Well said. Well said. Well said.
Stick with it.
Yes,
Lizzo.
please.
All right, should we get to
Let's
music
get
business?
to music business. Well, there was some music business.
All of this has been music
like,
business. Beyonce, record sales, Spotify, Lizzo.
Isn't Kelsey's like so confused by like the fact that like these last few weeks have actually had some content to them instead of us just talking about our feelings.
I know. I mean, we could go through the BMI thing quick.
Oh, yeah.
We had a question about that.
Like
or we could do the jingle thing.
Let's do the BMI thing since that's timely.
Yeah. All right, cool. So BMI, Broadcast Music Incorporated. BMI is one of the PROs in America. If you don't know what that is, it's a shame you're listening to this podcast. ASCAP, BMI, CSAC, and Global Music Rights. Although you will never be on Global Music Rights. But I always like to mention that.
I almost stewed that one.
I know. Oh my God, you guys, I know. So if you don't know, BMI was a not-for-profit, a performing rights organization under consent decree, and it got bought out by a private equity fund in 2023. They were called New Mountain Capital, and so they got bought out for $1.7 billion. Yes. Now, what does that fucking mean? Because it's a nonprofit. Why are you buying a nonprofit? That's weird. Why does hedge funds care about that? Why does a hedge fund care about that? A private equity. I'm sorry, private equity. Private equity is the sort of the euphemism for you fucking hedge fund bitches. And so why would they buy it out? And what are they buying? Does BMI own anything? No, not really. They control the catalog of publishers and writers, and they collect royalties based on our work. Full disclosure, I am a BMI songwriter. I have been a BMI publisher for decades. I switched over to BMI as a songwriter. So you can be a publisher, and in fact, you kind of have to be a publisher if you have writers on all the PROs. You can be a publisher on all of the PROs if you want. But you can only be a writer on one of them. So you have to choose. And so there are rules that kind of govern this. But I got into a huge, nasty fight with ASCAP over the Rose Bowl parade money that I didn't get. And, you know, I feel I was wronged. Didn't want to take him to court, but I just basically quit. It took 2 fucking years, 2.5 years to get out of the relationship with ASCAP and move over to BMI. I've been at BMI since then, and I have been super happy. And anyone that's been to a music conference, you will always hear from people, it doesn't matter which PRO you choose, just be with a PRO. Because you'll hear people ask all the time, should I join ASCAP? Should I join BMI? Should I join CSAC? At one point in the mid-2000s, I was that guy on the conference schedule that said, fuck that, go with BMI as a writer. Because I had writers on CSAC. I had been tinkering with CSAC a little bit. I didn't sign with them, but I had been a writer on ASCAP, and I knew how that went. Now, there are people that have good relationships with ASCAP, and I don't want to denigrate them, but I will say that for what I do, for the kind of songwriting I do and getting like more placement kind of things, BMI I found to be the best. And I was proselytizing them. I was like, everybody, you should come to BMI. Come to BMI as a writer. I don't get paid anything more for that. I was just saying, this is my experience, and I think that that's what you should do. So I've been a strong BMI supporter. Well, when this gets sold, last year I lost my fucking shit. I do not like when nonprofits convert to capital. They say nothing's going to really change. It's been running at about a 10 to 15% margin. We're just going to take 10 to 15%, add 5% to that, and that's going to be our profit now. Okay. So instead of 10 or 15% being run in administration, that's going to be moved over to profit. Well, how are you going to pay for admin? Well, I think we all know what that means. There's going to be a lot of automation. There's going to be some AI in it. And honestly, you have to, as a publisher and a songwriter, you have to do most of the work. You have to go to the website and upload your song. You have to fucking make sure that it's there. You don't get paid for 3 quarters, you know, and you can't really audit them, you know, and so... but I will say this. The thing that sucks the most about this is they were leveraging music catalogs to get this money, right? To get that, like, why the fuck would you pay $1 billion? Well, because the catalog's worth a lot, because the writers and the publishers on it are worth a lot. And so to kind of smooth this out, and by the way, the number is $1.7 billion. Well, to smooth this out, some of the shareholders, I will say that some of the people who are behind BMI, they got paid quite a bit of money in that buyout. They floated this 2 years ago. And they got paid quite a bit of money in that little buyout deal. No one really knows how much, but quite a bit of money in that buyout deal. And so, to make it look a little bit better, I believe it was Michael O'Neill, who was the president and CEO. Now he's the CEO. Fucking douchebag of BMI. But they basically said, oh, we've put aside some of the money from the huge buyout. And because you are worth so much to us, songwriters and publishers, we're going to give that money to you. We're going to put a little money on the side from the buyout, and we're going to put it out just like a royalty in the second or first quarter of next year. And this is going to be great, you guys. So you guys who've helped build this company, you guys are going to get big money. Okay, great.
Wait for it.
Last week we got that distribution. It was not 6 figures. It was not 5 figures. It was not 4 figures. And I'm not the only one. Now, listen, I'm not a global hit songwriter. I'll be the first to tell you that I don't have global hits. I have some songs that still play around the world. I get paid royalties on it. I've been a songwriter. My catalog's fairly big for BMI. I would say I'm, in the percentage of people that have a lot of music on there that they run. So it's not like I'm nobody, but I certainly am not somebody. There are people that have global hits that make good money every single year. And they got shafted too. So the amount of money we got is it's laughable. I'll just give you a little bit of insight here. I know someone from a 90s band who had global hits. We're talking top 10 hits here. If I said the name of the band, you would absolutely know who they were. That songwriter got $900 in this payoff. $900. So just imagine how much. So if you're a BMI writer, I want to know how much you got. Send us the number if you want it.
I'd be curious.
If you feel comfortable with it, we'll share it with everyone, but I won't use your name or anything. But yeah, it was a laughable amount. Now, it's our understanding that fund was over $110 million. There are millions and millions and millions of writers on BMI. And so this was based on your catalog. And so, I get it. It's not like everyone was going to get the exact same amount. But there are 1.5 million songwriters on BMI. There are about 22, last time I looked on SongView, about 22 million musical works. So an average, if you would just say an average of about, 10 to 20 songs per writer. But some of us have, 50, 100, 200.
We do.
And then it kind of depends when you're like a publisher, how many that you're running of other writers. So just take that number, like million and a half, call it 1.5 million songwriters, and then $100 million.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's, first of all, out of 1.7 billion, you put it, like, I know for most musicians, 100 million in a pot looks pretty big. But if the pot is as big as the Atlantic Ocean, which is a $1.7 billion, your little pot of water is not much. Like, that's 100 million is laughable for that. But basically the letter we got was like, you should be so happy. You should be so thankful. And, they're hiring. We know somebody who is
That's right.
maybe going to go change the world from the inside of BMI. I'm so fucking pissed off about this. I'm pissed, not for me. I didn't think I was going to get like some huge amount of money. I am nobody. I don't have a global hit. And that's really what runs royalties. Global hits do. Syncs do okay. I've got shit on TV and in sports things or whatever, and it does good. But it's a numbers game. It's a volume game. You got to take a lot of shots that way. But so how much money did you get?
Let's take a look. I didn't look yet. I've been away in the mountains with the lady. So I couldn't tell you.
It's less than 3 figures.
I figured it probably wouldn't be much.
Listen,
Tacos.
I run some of your publishing.
You
I run some of your
publishing.
publishing.
That's correct.
But I'm just saying, like, we should be happy. We got a little bit of money, but it was a laughable number. And this is more about the people who really deserve a lot more money, who, like, let's be honest about it. If you were a writer with BMI in the early 90s or the late 80s and you had a record deal and you were running like top 10 hits and some of those hits got synced and used and shit too, you helped build that company. You literally helped build that company. And for you to get under $1,000, like, that's fucking horrible. Like, if that song made a lot of money for that company, kept that company, in a competitive basis with ASCAP, like that, and it is competition, right? It's competition on which PROs sign writers. Like, I got offered an upfront deal with CSAC, but it was really hard to look at it because you can't even log into their website.
That's very true.
But this is a problem. Now, what's going to happen with BMI? This is basically the question, is like, what's going on with BMI and what's going to happen? Here's the real answer. I really don't know. I don't think they're getting out of the business of royalty collection and PROs. They're still going to be a performing rights organization. Best I can tell from my last royalty check, it is relatively similar, so it didn't go down. That's good. That means they're still collecting internationally. But when hedge funds get involved, private equity. When private equity gets involved, it is the nature of private equity to exploit for the most amount of money, right? That's what it is meant to do. Unlike the nature of a not-for-profit is to take care and control and be careful with the owners of the catalog, the writers and the publishers. When it is private equity, that means that is not the goal. So I don't know what's going to happen, but I know that it's not going to be better.
No. Because now the
and they say they're going to be able to be a little bit more aggressive and sign bigger deals. Okay, but that just means you're going to get more profit for you. I just don't see that flowing down to writers and publishers.
I can't think of another business model that's utilizing artists and writers and publishers in such a way to make massive profit, but not telling anybody they're making a massive profit. And that's such a weird thing. Well, I'll see you later.
Spotify.
I didn't want to name names.
I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
Deezer. I'm sorry. Papple Music.
Apple.
Oh, I'm sorry. Kazamazon.
Oh, that's a good one. Can I use that one?
That's two of them.
Yeah, I'm very proud of you.
Kazama Shamazon.
Nice little portmanteau right there. That's very well done. Well, yeah, that's well done. Solid.
Can you believe a company would utilize a catalog of musicians to make profit off of it and not have it flow down? That's crazy.
Just crazy talk. How dare you?
Wouldn't you think that the government would get involved?
Oh, wait.
By the way, we're supposed to go look at playlist on Netflix. Apparently, there's a shitty Spotify movie on there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, about Daniel Egg's congressional thing.
Okay.
Yeah. All right,
Yes,
we'll get to it.
Do a
But
live
not
live
today.
watch.
Today, we're going to move on to the Sync of the Week.
That's the one. That's the big winner.
The Sync of the Week. Well, I've been talking.
Okay,
You go
so
first.
I'm very excited. My love affair with Ryan Gosling is assured because of a new trailer that came out for The Fall Guy.
Oh,
Like,
I'm so excited.
Never before has a trailer united my group of friends like this one has, because it's everything we loved about childhood. You know,
Yeah.
Colt Seavers, Lee Majors, that fucking, is it a GMC truck or was it a Chevy? I can't remember, but that truck, you know, they just legendary. And you know, our lover in the nighttime, Ryan Gosling, he's just Ken, is playing the fall guy in this. You know, a lovely adventure film, and in the trailer is a beautifully orchestrated and, you know, symphonic stabby version of Any Way You Want It by Journey. And it makes for a lovely pairing. And the trailer is pure joy if you like the action genre, with a little bit of Gosling charm to it, unlike the boring cardboard cutout that is Vin Diesel. See, I can say James shit too.
wow.
No.
Wow, Stu taking shots. Vin Diesel got a fucking astray.
Gotta catch it some stray bullets here. No, I love the Fast and Furious. You know I do. But yes, the trailer for the Fall Guys is delightful. You know, big explodey.
Who's the Heather Thomas in this one?
I believe
Who's the hot chick?
it's Emily Blunt is the love interest in this one. Yeah,
that works.
you know, Mrs. Krasinski.
Is she in a pink bikini?
No, it's nothing like that. It's nothing quite that. Yeah.
Remember we were just talking about men being better about women, Michael?
Yeah. But also,
Is what the sign Kelsey just put up.
She we also got some Hannah Waddingham and Stephanie Hsu and a whole bunch of fun stuff. And I do believe Lee Majors does make a cameo, but that's not been confirmed. I really hope so. Anyway.
Yeah. But do you know what so for our younger listeners, what is the Fall Guy?
He's a stuntman.
Oh, he's a stuntman.
Do you want to go into your story now? You have a story about wanting to be a stuntman, and didn't
my
you?
God, it's so embarrassing.
Wasn't there like there was something about stuntmen that you believed?
I might fall from a tall building. I might roll a brand new car.
Fantastic.
Yes. When I was a kid, and I mean a young kid, so this is back in the 20s, I thought stuntmen actually died.
Oh, you were such a cute kid.
I learned, first of all, that, like, I think it was my grandparents that fucked me up on this, because I was like, oh my God, that actor that I just saw in this movie or in this show just fell from a building. Holy shit, is he okay? And then someone explained to me, no, that's a stuntman. That actor's fine. But didn't tell me anything more. So I just
ran with
okay,
it.
so they just kill a random guy so that my favorite actor can still live. Well, that's nice. You know, and so
That's nice.
I know.
That's nice.
Look, no one ever said he's smart, right? No one ever said I'm smart. So I thought stuntmen died.
Okay.
And I was like, wow, there's a lot of stuntmen, and good for them. They must get paid a lot of money. And then I realized that there was a thing, Evel Knievel was happening. And I realized, oh, okay, well, they just get hurt. They don't die. And there was like something like on a Saturday where they showed someone falling into a big trampoline or a big pad out of a building. And they're like, well, that's a stuntman that did that. And I was like, oh, okay, so they didn't die. well, that's pretty cool. I want to be a
Fantastic.
stuntman. And so, because I was like, well, that looks awesome. You can run and jump and fly off buildings and do all this stuff. And like, you don't have to deal with being like a Hollywood movie star or whatever. And I mean, I'm still a very young kid here, under 12.
Fantastic.
So I think that weekend I went and I tried to jump off the roof of my grandparents' house with a cape onto a mattress, onto it like a, and this is like a late 70s mattress. So it was maybe an inch and a half. Well, I sprained my ankle, but I didn't die.
You didn't die.
Yeah, I hurt myself quite a bit, actually. I hurt myself quite a bit trying to be an amateur stuntman.
I love it.
But I really, really, really wanted to be a stuntman, and then I became obsessed with it. Like even as I became like kind of a teenager, I started learning about stuntmen. I knew their names. There was a school that I heard about in LA that you could go learn how to be a stuntman, and in this time, Fall Guy comes
fantastic.
out, and it is a whole show about a stuntman. And I'm like, yes, I get it now. Okay. But see, in the TV show, he gets the hot chick and there's a hot tub and he has a great time. He's gotta sit in the hot tub because his bones hurt a little bit. Well, like later on, you would understand that like someone died on the Apocalypse Now set. Someone died. You know, they're like stuntmen do die, stunt women too, and they break things, and it's surgery, and it's athletic, and it's tough. So but I still wanted to be a stuntman. Well, we took a trip to California with my grandparents and my mom, and there is a picture of me somewhere at Universal Studios lifting up the Fall Guy truck. I'm going to try to find it. If I find it, I will post it on here. But it's a truck that's like so light you can lift it up. And this was like a big thing that you did. You go see Jaws, and this was one of the things was the Fall Guy truck. So then I tried later on in life in my 20s, I tried to develop a game called Stuntman where you would design your own stunts and then you had to act them out in the scene and you get points for every stunt that you consecutively did well. That basically turned into GTA.
That sounds like a massive pile of liability.
Yeah, totally. It was a hard game to try to develop. I didn't get it to anywhere being launched. But like other games did it much better where when games started, you could develop your own like race course and then you had to do certain kind of jumps off the race course. Yeah, the game was like, it was over. My little stuntman game was over. Boy. I think a game did come out later on called Stuntman or something like that. It wasn't exactly like what I wanted. But I did get a brochure from the Stuntman like Institute in Van Nuys or whatever.
Do you still have it?
I do. And I actually called them. I was very close the first time I went to LA. I was like 17, like as an adult. I had already moved out of the house and stuff, but I actually went there to apply. They're like, you got to be 21, man. I was like, well, I'll be back. And later on when I moved to LA, I went back through there, but by that time I was like kind of a musician and carrying my demo tapes around and trying to get a record.
Did you walk wistfully past the Stuntman Academy with your guitar in hand and said, if only?
No, I just walked right through the window.
On fire.
Like, hey. I'm pretty good, right?
Want to hire me? I'll also entertain you for dinner.
Like, yeah, that wasn't a breakaway window, you dumbass. So yes, I thought Stuntman died, and that's my stupid Michael as a child story.
That is gorgeous. Thank you for sharing that with the people. Your turn.
You're welcome. This podcast is all about sharing.
Sync me up.
All right, my sync of the week. I've been watching The Regime on HBO. Some people call it Max. I've been watching. It's The Regime with Kate Winslet, and it's about a Middle European monarchy, basically, like a European country that doesn't exist. It's a fictitious thing. But Kate Winslet is the chancellor, and she goes a little fucking crazy. This is kind of trying to get everyone to be afraid of Trump. Because she's so mad. She's so ridiculously crazy about things. It's weird. It's a weird show. It's very weird. I like it so far, but it's very weird. And in season 1, episode 1, you'll see this in the first episode you see. there's this big like party, and it's for her, and she gets up on stage with the band, and she sings "If You Leave Me Now" from
Fantastic.
Chicago. And it's all, she mentions a whole lot of, what about our love, my loves? Do we not still love each other? She's talking to her people like on a press conference. She does a lot of that bullshit Trump thing. But so she sings this "If You Leave Me Now," and she has to sing it horribly. It is so off key and so fucking cringy. But it's a great pull, and apparently it was in the script. I did a little research on this. The supervisor is Lyndon Campbell, but this was in the script, so the song was already pre-chosen. Peter Cetera was reached out to and said yes, go ahead and use it. Not that it matters, because all you had to do was ask the publisher, because the master wasn't used. But anyway, the writer had it in the script that this was a perfect, cheesy, cringy song. And if you leave me now, you'll take away the biggest part of me. And like, she sings it so horribly. And Kate Winslet can fucking sing, so she had to sing it bad. But it is cringy as fuck, and it's
I'd like to point out that's really hard to do if you're a talented singer.
If you know how to sing.
To sing badly is fucking hard.
Really, really hard. Yeah. Well, for some of us.
I don't know where that shot went. It just it barely missed me.
Fuck you, Vin Diesel. All right, let's wrap this sucker up. Hey, make sure to check out StuMillerMusic.com. He has a whole section on there about how he hates Vin Diesel, but how he's actually has some open slots to consult you and work with you on your music project. Should be a good time. Make sure to remember to rate and subscribe and give us 5 stars. Leave us a hilarious comment. Hey, I want to throw some more love out to YouTube. Thank you so much. We are very nearly at 2,000 subscribers on there. We're not juicing it at all. We're not even advertising. We really appreciate it. Thank you for listening to the quick shot that happened last week. And if you missed it and you want to look at the Living Wage for Musicians Act, we got some really good comments on that. How people liked how we broke it down simply. And so that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to make this fun for you. Because we know when we talk music business to people in person, they just start drifting off near the bar. And so that's what we're trying to do, is keep you here drinking with us.
Fantastic. Please, stay, have a shot.
All right, until we talk to you next week, we hope you write a great song, and you look great, you feel great, and we love you. Goodbye.
Cocksucker.